The grading begins. Robin and I told you we were going to bring the hammer and lay down the grades. It starts today on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño. And together, we're the dynamic duo that brings you the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast each and every single day, promising you the content on the daily, right up through the draft, free agency, everything going on here. Can't wait. We're getting into it. Robyn, I always kind of wanted to be a teacher. I always thought that would be great. I could, impart my knowledge. I could, help other folks who are learning things to learn them and bring them along. And then at the end of it all, I get to assess some grades. Well, kind of, being a podcaster allows me to do the same thing, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think even beyond just the realm of being a podcaster, I think it's within the realm of being a hockey talking head, right? As they like to call us. We're talking heads. We're out there, putting our voice out there. You like if you're on YouTube, you see our faces. We what we're talking, and the very niche that we talk about. In this case, we're talking Utah hockey.
You just made me flashback, Robyn. The first time I was ever put on the spot to give grades like this, and not that we're putting on the spot, we are putting, our thoughts behind what we're doing here with the series. But I was with the Nashville Predators. It was my second year doing the radio play-by-play for them. And I was on Sirius XM in training camp. And they said, all right, Tom, give us your letter grades and your off-season assessments. And they gave me a couple of things they wanted grades on. And I'm like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that. But I had to give my assessment and my analysis of what the Preds had done that off season and how they prepared for the upcoming year. And, it was interesting to be put into that. But since then, I mean, I went on to do that for several more years and then flipped to the other side doing some ESPN radio stuff. So then I was asking other people to grade things. Then I was learning how they went through the whole process. And Robyn, what I can tell you about doing the grades is, number one, it's very subjective, but yeah. I am a big fan of, and folks, if you're listening or watching, absolutely, we want your feedback and your grades too. But I'm a big fan of, if you're going to come at me with an A+ or a D-, you just need to tell me.
Yeah, better back it up. You better have your reasons. The reasons could be really, I mean, it could be, honestly, Tom, they could be dumb, but I mean, at least, because again, as you said, it's subjective. That could be in that person's perspective. It could be how they view things. It could be, and you and I, for example, could have very vast different perspectives of how we saw the season go down in very specific aspects.
It's interesting. Every fan base, you're going to have your good and your bad, and every organization, you're going to have your good and your bad, and there's going to always be up and down. And so not everyone's always going to agree with us, but I don't want you to always agree with us, because if you did, you'd stop listening to the show. If you're just like, oh yeah, I already knew that, why would you keep tuning in? So we appreciate those of you who are here and who make the show your first listen each and every single day. Thank you so much. By the way, the show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So, Robyn, the grading begins. Massive font here on the YouTube side. Mm-hmm. Let's explain, first of all, what our plan is, and then we're going to go with an overall team grade. But let's tell folks how we're going to break this down over the next week. Actually, it's probably going to stretch to more like 2 weeks for us to get through everything we're going to grade.
There is so much really to get by. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be beyond a week, 2 weeks approaching. Maybe even squeeze into that third if we really have to. But what we're going to get down to, Tom, essentially, is we are going to provide letter grades for certain aspects of this team. We're going to start off And that's kind of what we're going to see today as an overall team grade. But as we get down towards the week, we're going to break things down. We're going to have position group grades. You're going to have individual player grades, coaching and management grades. Everything is under the microscope in this series. Everything you could think of, we are going to take a look at it, analyze our thoughts, give us a reason, and at the end of it all, assign a letter grade, whether, from A all the way down to F. And yes, that does include pluses and minuses.
It does. And so we will break specific categories down, like coaching and front office and forwards, defense, goaltending. And we'll get into the nitty gritty. We'll get to individual players and try to assign everybody as well as we can. And plus, at the end, there's some of those intangible categories too that we're also going to focus on. There's just so much that goes into it. And Robyn, that's why the overall team grade, I do want to talk about this. This is not just here was the record, here's my grade based on the record. This is the team on the ice. This is the team off the ice. This is the team just in every aspect, all the way from the usher and the ticket taker and the person at the booth when you buy that ticket, all the way up to the ownership level. I think it's important to just give an all-encompassing grade that factors in, quite frankly, a chaotic year.
Oh yeah, very, and I think it definitely that goes to show what kind of, exactly how much we are using as factors here, right? And I was telling you off the air, and this is something that you'll notice. What I'm gonna do, Tom, is I'm going to kind of be using the overall team grade as like a baseline. Maybe I know like curve might not be the correct term, but as I saying baseline of taking a look at the individual grades and kind of give an aspect. All right, so that way I'm not straying too far off. I'm not saying, this person is completely terrible, and you're just like, oh wait, but you kind of mentioned here. I want to have. There's going to be a level of consistency here, and in the overall team grade is going to be that baseline for it.
And Robyn, I think that's a great way to do it. I think that is something that, we'll be able to explain even more in depth as we go along, as we dig into these little categories and everything. So I'm really looking forward to that. In fact, I have a feeling that I'm probably going to wrinkle a few noses here with my overall team grade. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And
okay.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you what it is in just a moment. And today's show is brought to you in part by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, those little purchases, you just swipe, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Now, Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, so you can track your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place, which to me is one of the best parts of this. It is all there, one app right in front of you. So you just stop managing your money and you actually get to start building wealth, which honestly has been on my mind quite a bit. When I started using Monarch, you kind of realize, I call it leaking, how much you're leaking money in different places, whether it's your food delivery or your subscription services. And I'm guilty of that one big time. The other places where just money kind of leaks away, if it's dining out or drive through or whatever. Now I budget smarter and I save more money. So I like that. I like that it's all in one place. It's not juggling multiple apps. I just use Monarch to check finances, track spending, and even my long-term planning goals are there. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. And today's show also brought to you by Game Time. Well, the Stanley Cup playoffs are here. We're heading into round 2. And if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it's honestly unlike anything else. It's intense. It's fast. The energy is crazy. Like, it's amazing. And thanks to Game Time, getting in the door is easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets, even for those must-see matchups. Prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer. With some last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%. The last-minute deals are great if you're kind of making a snap decision about it. You're like, I don't think I can get in the door. Yeah, you can. Check those last-minute deals. And it's not just for sports. You can use it for comedy, for theater, for concerts, shows, events, anything. Check Game Time. Also, toggle on that all-in pricing. It shows you the total cost up front. There are no surprise fees at checkout when you're using the all-in pricing. Plus, you get to take a panoramic look at your seat view before you buy, so you know exactly where you are, and plus Game Time ticket coverage. I know I'm protected, whether it's cancellation protection, job loss assurance, or their 24-hour return guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño back here with you on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And again, we are bringing you that daily content. I know it's hard, right? Utah didn't make the playoffs this year. You got an itch to scratch. We're here to help you out. We're going to keep talking about the club. As I said, we're going right through the draft, right through free agency, right through hopefully the naming of this team. Robyn, I think we're supposed to get that at some point in June, maybe, is what we're sort of hearing right now.
Yeah, we're getting really close to it. They want to kind of get that announcement. It's definitely going to happen ahead of the draft, which, by the way, I'll mention after anyone who is listening today. Later today, there will be the draft lottery. Be sure to follow us on social media. We will update you on what happens there. It's a heads up. If Utah wins, they can only move up 10 spots. So they can't win. They can't get first overall, but they could definitely move up 10 to, I think, fourth overall, I think is the highest they can get. Yeah. 6 or somewhere around there.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings if they're picking fourth overall, that's for sure. But I would rather, I don't want them to be in a position to need a lottery pick to go to number one next year. But hey,
at this point,
you move up.
Right.
So that's whatever. If the hockey gods so decide that you will jump 10 places, then you will jump 10 places. So, and we will definitely have the full coverage of that, what it means for Utah, the draft order, all that fun stuff. We'll talk about that later in the week and continue our grading. Robyn, do you want me to drop my bomb first, or do you want to give your overall team grade for the 2024 season?
Let's go. Let's start with you first, and then we can, because that way like let's see how different it will be as in the different perspectives. But yes, I want to hear yours first.
This team was a C. Overall, okay. Everything was a C. And I know there's probably more than a few people out there who thought it should be much higher. And you can make your arguments for that. And I hope you do. I hope you drop some stuff down in the comments here. I actually thought about going C-. I almost went C-, but I went C. And it was a circus this year. Everything happened really fast. Some balls got dropped. And it could be easy to forget about that. And this is not just on-ice performance. In the move, some good things happen, some bad things happen. There's going to be some wreckage along the way, and I accept that, but that doesn't mean it's a positive thing. I do believe that in looking at everything that the organization tried to do, they did their level best. So first of all, this slights no one's efforts, okay? Anyone who was involved with this move, they did it at great speed, under great stress, and they did everything they possibly could. I think there were some areas where they've excelled on and off the ice. I think there were some areas where they didn't. And just because it's year one, Robyn, doesn't mean I want to give them a pass. For instance, I loved the budget concession prices. I hated a lot of the seating and a lot of the views. I hated the injuries for the team this year and the overall health of the team. I loved some of the stretches of play. I hated missing the playoffs. I hated some of the coaching. I hated a couple of the decisions that were made along the way with players and transactions. But I also loved other things that happened, acquisitions, contract signings, that sort of thing. And there's so much. I love some things about the broadcast. I didn't love other things about the broadcast. The front office, kind of the way things got put together with the Jazz, it was the best thing they could do is to kind of glue that Jazz framework onto the Utah Hockey Club. I expect they're going to figure out the more unique parts of hockey as they go along, but not everything was without its hiccups. So overall for me, given the move, given everything, I still think I'm coming out with an overall objective grade of a C for the Utah Hockey Club in year one.
Okay. I think that's an interest.
Am I being too harsh? I don't know, but I don't think I am. I actually, like I say, I could have gone lower. I could have dwelled more on the negatives. And honestly, Robyn, we don't do that a lot on this show.
No, we don't. I feel like because we want to be the voice for you fans, right? We want to do the best that we can to kind of speak for you guys, understand where all you guys are coming from, and be part of that hype and be like, hey, look at everything, all the good that Utah's doing. But we're also, here to kind of see things and have a perspective that you guys don't see, right? And I think that's kind of, and maybe you do see it, but you just kind of want to dwell on the positive because you're a fan. That's what you want to do, right? You want to try to hold on to the positive as much as you can. But as media, we take that perspective and we put that into everything, right? So I mean, I'm not going to give my full on grade yet, but I think that's reasonable.
Whether it's reasonable or not, it's what I'm grading.
Right.
Look, if you don't think I'm reasonable, that's fine. Come at me. You can grab me over on social. You can certainly drop comments here on the YouTube side. I don't mind, but I'm doing this too to stir some thoughts and to say, no, not everything was perfect. There are things that need upgrading. And I think was the game day experience good, bad? It depends. I always think you can make your game day experience better. And that's just me working in hockey for 25 years. I can tell you there's always something you could do to make your game day better. The nonsense with everything going around about naming the team and the way that was handled, like there is some misgivings about how that whole thing happened. I already told you I understand why they didn't have a name for year one, and I agree with the reasons for not having a name for year one.
Heck, even putting in at the most random time Wasatch as an option, and everyone and pretty much backtracking within 24 hours.
Yeah, that was an eye roll event for sure. It was, and again, so there's some times that where they just, as an organization, you take a few missteps. So, but again, for me, this is from soup to nuts. Everything involved with this organization, I give it a solid C, which is passing, which is average. And I have experienced almost every NHL team's game night except Seattle. That's the only one I haven't. And so I think I've seen a pretty fair amount of these things in my time. And that I feel like that is a solid mid-pack grade. There's better, there's worse.
You know what? And certainly fair, and I think a really good perspective.
Well, Robyn, I feel like you're going to be more optimistic than me. I feel, but maybe not. I don't know, because you're giving me that look. So I don't, you know what? Let's just find out. What do you say? Let's go ahead and find out here after the break.
And today's episode brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance targets, across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can help connect you with freelance experts who has delivered exceptional results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. That's Upwork.com. Connect with top talent and grow your business today. And today's episode also brought to you by Post District. Discover Post District, home of 4 of Salt Lake's newest and most stylish apartment buildings. To register, Post House North, Post House South, 801 Flats. Each residence offers its own unique take on luxury urban living, with features like waterfall kitchen islands, floor-to-ceiling windows, vaulted ceilings, and spacious patios, as well as walk-in closets. Enjoy premium amenities, including the city's largest residential gym, a year-round pool, golf simulator, massive T-ball for sports, watch parties, and more, all anchored by a one-of-a-kind community. Step outside and find yourself immersed in Salt Lake's hottest and dining nightlife scene, with award-winning sports like Urban Hill, Men's Show Ramen, Level Crossing, Melancholy Wine Bar, and Sunday's Best, just steps away. Whether you're looking for a studio, 1, 2, 3-bedroom, or penthouse, find your perfect home today. Visit liveatpost.com or call 801-590-6247. Mention this ad for an exclusive incentive.
Welcome back in the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast. Your incentive to keep listening to the show is to hear what Robyn's got to say. The grading begins today. We're going to go through it all the way from ownership, all the way down to the absolute bottom of the ladder, the lowest rung. We're going to cover everything in our grades today. It's the overall team grade. I have dropped a C just in case you decided to skip ahead here and missed what Tom had to say, just to get to Robyn's content, which I'm sure everybody does. But Robyn, what are you going to assess?
Okay, Tom, it's really interesting because one of the reasons I deferred to you was because I already had my grade in mind, but I wanted to know, was I being too harsh? Because I kind of wanted to give an idea because I was like, okay, like I have to give a grade here. And I know it wasn't the best season. There were a lot of things that happened, and you gave a lot of those reasons. I still did have a slight bit more optimism, and by slight, I'm talking by only half a grade here, Tom. I'm giving the Utah Hockey Club a C+. So it's just and I think it's just barely, and I think it's just the more optimistic viewpoint that I have. I take a look, and in this case, I will use the curve as a phrase in this context is I think that half a grade for me over yours, I think, is the benefit of the doubt, giving them the understanding of, okay, because they had such a short runway to kind of build everything and everything else that happened, at least on the organizational side, there is a little bit of benefit of the doubt there. And of course, it's not the most benefit. I'm not giving a whole grade here because it's there still is a you still have to be real here. You still have to say they still have to run things correctly. They still have to do everything right. And I think they did for the most part. For the most part, they did a lot of things right. I feel like they responded well to the injuries. Yes, the injuries were bad, but they responded well to the injuries by bringing in good players. And I feel like it was a much big improvement over the last couple of seasons as the Arizona Coyotes. And that's kind of what I'm also in my head taking a look at. Those were some interesting grades over there that I gave for the Coyotes organizations back in the day. But
did you give any Fs?
I feel like I'm trying to remember. I feel like there were a few Fs in there, at least front office wise. Yes, I felt like it was.
I could understand that.
Front office wise, there was a no brainer. I mean, I was trying to give Alex Morello For those, I'm sure everyone knows because no matter what, the previous, the last owner of the Arizona Coyotes, as much benefit as I could, but every single time there was something that went wrong, and I'm like, I can't. There's nothing I can do to give you a good grade here.
That dude's a walking F minus.
Yeah, so it was, and I think that's where my optimism goes. But again, as you said, we still have to be completely objective here and have a more overall viewpoint here. And I feel like a C+ to me was what made sense. It wasn't great because I feel like going into the B range is all right. You are you're everything's being run well. You didn't have to worry too much. There were just a couple of things that took you back that weren't A worthy. And C is okay. It's average, as you mentioned. I think average is the right term. It's passing. It's average. You're just around kind of like where I thought you would be.
So you're saying as a C+. So what kept it from maybe creeping to the B-, or what maybe elevated it then to the C+, I guess? I'm kind of curious to know, because there's, at this point, we're kind of, you and I are nuanced, right? The difference in our opinions.
Yeah, it is. At this point, it is like it is very splitting hairs. I mean, I think a lot of the reasons that kept it from reaching into the B range were, a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. I think, as I said, the injuries were not, they, kind of did go down. I feel like, to me, at least on the on ice level, the inconsistency continues to plague my this system that I've been talking about for so long, and I'm like, this team needs to figure it out. I feel like there is there is that aspect to me that, like, I wanted to see them grow more, and they, like, at least, that level of consistency did not reach my expectation. They didn't they haven't learned in the last couple of seasons from there, and I feel like that is I think a severe drawback for me. And I feel like if they were more consistent, I mean, they probably could potentially be still participating in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't know, maybe they would have just lasted as long as, again, we're talking round 2, just about to start at this point. But they would have been a lot more in the mix, and they would have had a B. I feel like if this team was even just, I think, even had a couple of games, like just some of the games they should have won, I feel like they would have at least been into the B-, close to the B range. But that's inconsistency. The inconsistencies, Tom, I think was the biggest drawback for me that plunged it back into the C territory.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm curious to know what everybody else thinks. If you're listening, if you're watching, let us know. Drop some comments below here. Robyn, if they want to reach out to us on social media and tell us how wrong we are, how can they do that?
They can find us everywhere on social media, primarily on Twitter at LO_NHL Utah. You can also find us on Blue Sky at Locked On Utah Hockey. I am personally at Robyn_Leaño. It's Robyn with the Y _LEANO. On Blue Sky, I am at Robyn Ice Time.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks and on Twitter at Callahan on Air. And we definitely thank you for watching. We're going to get into the grading. And now we're about to get into it hot and heavy. We also, by the time you hear, if you're hearing this on a Monday, the Tuesday show, we're also going to take a moment to talk about what happened with the draft lottery and just maybe explain a few things about looking forward to the draft as well. So it's going to be a big week or two of shows coming up here, Robyn. And the Stanley Cup playoffs march on. We are now down from 16 to 8. Then we go to 4 and then 2. And then there can be only one Stanley Cup champion. So we will stay with you right through all of that. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Like, subscribe, follow right along with us. For Robyn, I'm Tom. Thanks for being a part of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.